To help you prepare for AJ 2025, we've worked with First Gosford Scout Group and Kincumber Bensville Scout Group to record some resources. We hope they're helpful for you. If you have additional questions, please send them by email to newsouthwales.contingent@newsouthwales.scouts.com.au.
Hi Matthew.
Hey Dave.
How are you going?
Yeah, not bad. How's yourself?
Good, good. What's your role in this unit?
So my role in this unit is the Quartermaster. I work closely alongside the JSL. In the lead up to the camp, we organise all of the required camping gear, from barbecues, dining flyers, tables and chairs. Make sure it's all in good working order in preparation for the camp. Once we arrive on camp, I'll assist and talk to the JSL to work out the best arrangement for the site, keeping in mind of safety, of all the where the kitchen's placed and all that.
So you talk about safety at the camp. When you're looking at layout, what are some of the things that you'd be looking for?
Safety, we want to try and keep the kitchen separate from the rest of the dining area. We want to try and sort of cordon it off, so basically it's only the quartermaster and the duty patrol can be inside this kitchen at any one time. If we've got too many people in the kitchen, it poses a safety risk with all the hot appliances that are going on.
So what do you do to manage any traffic flow throughout the site when you're doing your site plan?
So we try to keep the kitchen off to one side. We try to ensure that there's the best thoroughfare through to the marquees and the camping area. We try and delineate the camping area from the dining area.
So do you think it's better to have the kitchen at the front or the back?
Kitchen's better off at the front. That's primarily because when the scouts will go to the Q store, when we're bringing all the gear back, we don't have to drag it right through the campsite to get to the Q store. We've got the hot water donk over here. You want to keep that separate, out of the way of all the other camp activities. So probably at the front that'd be the ideal. Every site's different though. Yeah.
So part of your role is to coordinate the duty patrols to make sure that they manage properly. What's your role in managing the duty patrols?
So I'll work closely alongside the JSL to work out a duty patrol roster, taking into account each patrol's activities during the day. For example, if they're doing an off-site activity on site, depending on what their timetable is. So we try and make it as achievable and as efficient as possible for both the unit and the patrol. And we also take into account different abilities and time schedules. So when it comes to safety and the gas appliances, we do like to try and keep them separate within the kitchen area. So if we've got kids working around hot stoves, we've got kids preparing food, they're separate so they're not crossing paths all the time. We always ensure that our gas equipment is compliant before we go to the jamboree for obvious safety reasons. We ensure that we've got fire blankets and fire extinguishers on site as well in the event of any fires.
How do you help and control hygiene, especially within the kitchen area?
I think as quartermaster, my job, it's one of the most important jobs in the kitchen, is to maintain safe food handling hygiene here. This is one of the riskiest parts if there is in the camp. Firstly, from a personal perspective, we make sure the duty patrol have always washed their hands prior to entering the kitchen, hand sanitizer and using gloves. So that creates the barrier for those guys. We make sure that we've got clean work areas. We make sure all of our pots and pans are nice and clean from the duty patrol previous, to make sure we're right to work. We make sure we've got good access to hot water as well. So we've always got the donk running at the very start of the camp to ensure that there's enough hot water to do washing up after the duty patrol.
What's a donk?
Stand by, we'll show you that shortly.
Okay, so what about the storage of food? You talked before about the duty patrol goes to the Q store and collects food. What happens to, especially the cold stuff, once it's actually brought back to the kitchen?
Yeah, sure. So when they come back, if it's going to get used straight away, we'll deal with it straight away. But a lot of the time they'll bring back milk, they'll bring back butter and cheese and things like that. We do have eskies here in the Q store with ice. We have them up off the ground. That's just to keep them up out of the harm's way, away from any critters that might want to get into them. Yeah, we make sure that especially for the milk and the dairy products, we make sure that there's adequate ice in the esky and that it's being kept at a suitable temperature. Yeah, and we'll always make sure we drain the excess water out of the esky, because that can create a problem too once things start floating around in there.
Can you tell me a bit more about this donk that we talked about before?
Yeah, so every jamboree will have in the troop site, more than likely you'll have what's called a donk. Just basically a bit of a homemade hot water system. So we'll turn this on first thing in the morning. When we wake up, duty patrol will turn this on. We'll start heating up. So the concept being, they pour water in the top in the funnel there. They always have a bucket underneath here. And what happens is the water goes in, it will come out at the base. This pipe runs all the way, it comes out at the base inside the donk, forcing the water out the spout, and you get hot water. So basically the cold water enters the keg down the bottom, forcing the hot water out. So really good way of getting really hot water for your hand washing and your washing up. And usually that will stay, once you've done it for breakfast, that will stay hot for a lunchtime hand wash and wash up. And then we just turn it back on for dinner duty patrol.
Why is the donk so far out away from the kitchen area?
So we always try and keep the donk well and truly far away from the other scouts and also the duty patrol. As you can see, this one's nice and well pegged down to reduce any chance of it tipping over. And it's obviously it's quite a hot appliance, so we want to try and keep it well out of the way. We try and keep it towards the front of the campsite, so when we get access to our water, we don't have to carry it through the campsite. So that's pretty much why we have it where we have it. Now, if your unit is lucky enough to have access to an instantaneous hot water system, they've got their benefits. They've got pros and cons. They're good from the fact that you have instantaneous hot water. You don't have the big gas burner going, but they do need a 12-volt power supply, because you need to pump the water through them. And also the water doesn't get quite as hot, so you do go through more water to get the water as hot. So yeah.
We're running a lot of gas appliances to run a unit at Jamboree. Did you have to bring your own gas bottles?
No, look, we're not allowed to carry the gas bottles on the bus, as well as that carrying this many gas bottles is just not feasible, and we're not going to be able to carry enough for the whole Jamboree. So the Jamboree site will supply us with gas bottles, throughout the whole camp.
Where would they be available from?
They'll be at the Q store. It's just like a swap and go at the Q store.
To feed all these hungry hordes requires a fair bit of food. What happens to any food that doesn't get eaten?
Oh look, it breaks my heart, but we've got to throw it all in the bin. We don't have the facility to keep leftovers. Any type of leftover food, it all just has to be thrown in the bin. But this is Scouts, we don't usually have leftovers.
Is there a facility to manage the food with the Q store? Could you go back to the Q store and say, look, we don't need milk tomorrow because we're not drinking any milk?
Yes, of course, and I have done that. Milk is the best example. Also wraps or bread or fruit. Sometimes we get our allocation of fruit is a bit more than what we go through. So yeah, that's the best way of doing it, to avoid the wastage. Just if you don't need it, you just contact the Q store and they'll help you out.